Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Podcast, brought to you by Top Rope Wrestling Collectibles and Autographs. Link to the Facebook group in the description of this video if you're watching later on YouTube. We're your hosts, Stevie, Ben, Brian, Kev, and our tribal chief, Will. We'll also have Kyle here with us today. How's everybody doing?
Wonderful. Doing great, man. Looking forward to it. Been looking forward to it all week.
Yeah, me too. That's what I was telling the group chat earlier today.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff going on today. We're going to look at some new figures coming out. We got Mount Rushmore for our managers this week. And, of course, we'll do our Smackdown and Raw recap. Basically, Will, did you want to go ahead and show off that thing you just got there?
Yeah, so I don't think he's in here yet, but I'm sure he will be, and I'm sure he'll catch the replay. But just a humongous shout-out. I just got this in the mail from one of our awesome members, great friend of mine, Chris Canfield. I always wanted a U.S. championship belt. I've got a lot of other collector belts, and Chris Canfield felt the need for me to have this in my collection, and I've got it, and I'm absolutely thrilled. It's heavy as hell. I mean, it's literally like as close as a replica can get to the real thing. I mean, it is just badass. So humongous shout out to Chris Canfield. Truly appreciate you. Truly appreciate the friendship, and definitely wanted to share and give you a shout out.
Hell yeah, it looks cool, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Chris, I'll be your friend too, man, just so you know. No, that's really cool, man. I need to get me a U.S. belt in general. I like the, I don't know how long ago it was now. It was probably like 2005, 2006, but the original, not the original, but you know what I mean? Like when they brought it back and John Cena was the U.S. champ for a while, that was always like my favorite design.
His spinner one?
No, I'm talking about when he was U.S. champ.
He had a spinner U.S. belt too.
Yeah, but that was earlier. He's talking about the one with the flag across it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But this is the old school mid-90s WCW U.S. title.
The best.
Oh, okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it looked familiar, but I couldn't place exactly where it came from. But, we'll go ahead and we'll jump in. We got a lot of figures to look at today. So let me go ahead and get my screen pulled up here, and we'll take a look.
Guys, also, too, while he's pulling that up, let's welcome Kyle in. Kyle's joining us tonight. Kyle's a newer member to TRC, and we want to make sure we give him a warm welcome, everybody. So welcome, Kyle. Really glad to have you in here. We're all crazier than hell, so hopefully you'll just fit right in.
Yes, welcome, Kyle.
Yeah, how long you been I talked to Kyle a little bit before we got started, but why don't you tell us a little bit about like how long you've been collecting some of your favorite pieces? You don't necessarily have to show them if they're far away, but
Sure. No, I've been avidly collecting for probably the last 10 years. So when I was 20, I started really collecting pretty hardcore, and just kind of starting to go after the small pieces at first, and then it kind of grew into the bigger pieces, and now I'm starting to get kind of into the expensive pieces. So I'd say, the better part of 10 years I've been collecting. I've been a wrestling fan for almost 25 years. So the first 15 years of that was strictly just watch and play, and then now it's definitely become a lifestyle, to say the least.
I hear you there.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
me too. I think I started watching about 25 years ago too, so we have that in common. All right, first image tonight. We're gonna do the AEW stuff first because I know how much Will loves AEW.
Oh yeah.
But
so
these.
I don't know if you saw my shout out. I think it was yesterday. It might have been today. I can't remember, man. My days this week have just blended together. But I actually bought one of those. I ordered it early, got it, took it, got it signed by Britt, had her inscribe it, and it was for Dan Gleason. Dan Gleason's one of our long-term members, great friend of ours, great friend of mine. And he wanted it signed and inscribed, so I got it signed, got it inscribed, sold it to him. And just either today or yesterday, Kev could probably tell you better than me when it was, but he just posted about his mail call, and that was one of the items that he got.
Yep.
Oh, okay. We see you guys in the comments, man. We're just going to go ahead and jump into these figures. We'll get back to the guys in the comments here in just a few. But yeah, I think this Britt Baker looks pretty cool. You know what I really like the most, though, aside from them coming with like 13 pieces of stuff, is the fact that like this packaging is like a Titantron, and I think that's pretty cool.
So the one thing that I've been saying about these figures is, 13 pieces of stuff is awesome, but I mean, you're not putting an outfit on a Barbie and changing her outfit every 5 minutes. So what I would rather see with figures is every figure that the character has held a title, every single figure should come with a title belt. I would rather have that than have 2 or 3 heads and 2 or 3 sets of hands and all that accessory, like the battle accessory packs and ladders and all that garbage. I would rather each figure where the character has held a championship, be it the Intercontinental, the US, the tags, whatever. I think every elite, as much as elites are now, especially they've gone up so much, should come with championship belts.
I agree. Only because they don't sell them individually as often as they should. I remember they did I think it was like a 10 belt or 12 belt pack a couple of years ago, and that sucker went up to I don't know how expensive it ended up being, but I think it was like $30-something when I saw it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, there's 2. I just noticed. I know we're probably going to talk about them, but the new Ultimates. All it is now is just extra heads and hands and no belts, no extra accessories, and I was kind of bummed out, like the new Seth Rollins and Andre that's coming out. I just noticed them just hands and head.
Yeah.
So, and also, too, with the new Andre, just my opinion, but the Series 100 or 101, whatever it is, I think it's 100, those 2 Andres coming out with him in the suit, I think is a better Andre figure than the one with him coming out in the singlet as an Ultimate. So if I was in the store or online and I was looking at the 2 side by side, I'm buying the one with him in the suit, which I think is Series 100 Elite, versus the one with him in the singlet. So that's just kind of food for thought on that one.
I really like what they did with the costume, or I guess it would be the gear and attire here with the Cody. He only gets 12 pieces though instead of 13. But yeah, you're right. These things should come with a little mini Ziploc bag, because you're going to end up putting all that shit. If you open it, it's going to end up in a little Ziploc,
Well, and there again, if you look at that Cody and then you look at that brand new Elite Cody, again, I think it's Series 100 Cody. Personally, I don't know that I'm going to buy either one of them, but if I was going to buy one, then I'm going to buy the Elite Series 100 over that one. Just my opinion.
Yeah. I can see
the American Nightmare Series 100 Elite Cody. I'd probably buy that over that Ultimate there, or over that Supreme.
So I'm probably not going to buy any of the AEW figures, only because then I'll be incentivized to buy more, and I don't want to do WWE and AEW right now. I just kind of want to stick to one. But if I was going to take it out of the packaging, I really like the the little robe and stuff that this one comes with. Get these little what do they call them? Weight belts or pressure belts? Like the American.
Weight belts.
Yeah. You got the AEW microphone in there. That's it for the AEW stuff. I know there's a couple of other Supreme collections coming out, but I only pulled up the one because there was already so much else for us to look at. Also, before we go on to the Coliseum collection, which is next in my list, I wanted to show this. It's not figure related, but you sent this picture to the group chat. I think it was our admin group chat. And this is Bret Hart's new restaurant in Canada.
Yep.
And this is just, I'd be getting drunk all the time there.
Dude, I want to go bad. I want to go.
That would be pretty damn cool. I've been in Hogan's stores. I've been in Hogan's restaurant. I was in Jimmy Hart's restaurant, and I really like the look of that place there. It looks really, really good. So, and I'm glad to see, most wrestlers are not successful when they do ventures like that. Most of them close pretty quick because, even though they have certain draw power, not everybody wants to go because it's a wrestler's restaurant. But in Canada, Bret Hart is highly, highly regarded, just like Wayne Gretzky. So I think people will continue to frequent that establishment, and I think it'll be successful.
I bet the food's good too.
I would assume so. Hope so.
I'm not gonna eat their bacon.
Yeah, I
Just
wouldn't either.
you know they got to have a liquor drink called the Sharpshooter. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure.
All right, let's go ahead and we'll move on to the Coliseum collection. I really like the packaging on these. Now, I didn't see these advertised on Ringside, so I guess they're not on Ringside.
No, they're Mattel Creations.
Mattel Creations, and I'm so tore on buying them or not.
Yeah.
So is that kind of like how that Doink was a while ago, where they had to like sell a certain amount before you could get it?
Well, no, these are just releases, but it's the same website.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But they're the same ones that sold those retros and the 4-packs that we talked about and the other Ultimates that we talked about, the Coliseums. But, I mean, they're great figures. They're a great collection. But I don't know personally, and here's what I'm struggling with. You know, I see that figure, and it's awesome. But here I have the Legend Series 13. Of course, it's signed by Jake. Let me get the glare off, guys. You know how I am with the glare. But here's the Legends figure. Of course, that one's signed by Jake. But I think this figure is a better looking figure by far than that new one.
It's the pants.
Yeah, well, the pants is a big part of it, you know. But I think the Legends series has totally kicked ass for the most part compared to a lot of these. Now, the Coliseum edition Hogan that came out was totally badass. I mean, I love the Hogan because it's an attire that you don't see, you know, with the rest of his Hulk Hogan figures, with his elites and all his ultimates and all that. But, you know, the rest of them, I don't know. I haven't been really it's tough. I was telling Kev yesterday, I'm not sure that I'm going to pull the trigger and spend the $79 because after shipping, it's like another $9. So it's like $79 to get the two.
You know, there's only one reason that I would probably pull the trigger on that. I like the snake. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I haven't seen a lot of this collection before, but it's definitely, compared to the AEWs we just looked at, you know, very minimal as far as what you get with it. But yeah, having Damien with it's kind of cool. Too bad, like, there's no bag.
But, you know, some of the AEWs are not bad. So, for example, like, again, I'm sorry, this one's signed, but I just happen to be sitting in the office next to a lot of these figures. But, you know, like, this is a pretty good figure for being an AEW. Of course, this one's signed. It's a pretty good figure. You know, the jacket's cool. The packaging is cool. It's in a protector, so it's got a lot of glare. But, you know, I mean, at the same time, I don't know. You know, I mean, AEW figures that are signed look great. Some of them loose look incredible. But as far as the overall look for the AEW figures, for me, it's just not there. You know, it doesn't make me want to buy it unless I'm taking it with these guys and getting it signed.
What do you think, Kyle?
I like them. I do like them. So it's just one of those things. And then with Jake, you wait, because if people open these, Damien will be worth more than the figure.
Oh yeah, yep, no doubt.
So with him having the snake with him, I think he's great. I actually like the pants because I believe those were his debut pants. So, and I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he wore that color when he first came out, which I think is what they go for. Yeah. So I think that's what they go for on him. But I think, didn't they make a Slaughter one of these too? Wasn't Slaughter kind of one of the first ones that came out in the Coliseum?
Yeah. Slaughter was the first. Slaughter was the first, and then they had the 2-pack there with Hogan and Terry Funk. And then here's your next 2-pack with Rude and Jake. They're almost like the old LJN, exactly same. Instead of the LJN like rubber, it's now like an Elite. And to me, I've only purchased the Hulk Hogan, and matter of fact, I resold it because I'm like with William there. I'm not really a big fan of this collection of the Coliseum ones, but I've also had the Sergeant Slaughter. He came with a chase, and it was the black card, and I had the black card and sold that like right when they came out. But I don't know. I'm just not a fan of these as well. It's a cool aspect because there's like almost identical to the ones the LJNs back in the early 80s. But As for to me, when you think of Ultimate, I think of all the extra accessories, all the extra stuff to make it stand out instead of just a plain figure.
And honestly,
they come with it. They come with extra stuff. It's just in that that little box order. He comes with a robe, and then Jake also comes with Damien's bag. Extra.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So there's shit down here.
You gotta have
underneath.
Belts. Yeah. You gotta have belts. Belts make the figure for me.
But wait, did the Hogan have the belt? I don't have it.
I think so. I mean, I can. Yeah, he does. He has one around. He has one around his waist. He has that the '84, the green one, the big plate in the middle.
Guys in the comments Guys in the comments seem to like the Rude here.
Yeah. See, I like. But I like the Rude, the SummerSlam version.
So, Series 77 Rude SummerSlam. I like.
Yeah,
that.
with the Ultimate Warrior or whoever, Jake's wife or whatever on his pants. Yeah.
And remember, they had the Chase version. They had two different versions of it, and I like that Rude better than I like this new Ultimate. You know, it's crazy, but some of these figures, you know, they just go one way or the other, and I don't know. Now, see, this series here coming out, I was very unimpressed with this series coming out.
Yeah,
I disagree. I'm super hyped, honestly, for the Gunther and the Rhea Ripley. Sami Zayn, Although I love Sami Zayn, don't get me wrong, but we've had a couple of him already. And I think this is going to be Theory's second or third.
Well, now let me tell you, we've had about 20 different AJ Styles elites, but the newest Ultimate coming out, in my opinion only, is the best AJ Styles they've ever put out.
I agree. And we're going to show that one in a little bit.
The new Ultimate.
Yeah, it's in the list. We got a shit ton of figures, so yeah, it's going to be the last section here. It's in ABC order, basically.
I do love that Rhea, though.
Yeah. So how you guys feel about this Edge? I like the...
I hate it.
It's a pass for me just because I don't like it. I'm not a fan of that figure at all.
I like the robe. Or I guess, what is it, a jacket?
Yeah, I'm like with William. I'm passing on all this whole series.
Damn.
Yeah,
I just can't believe it.
The only reason why I like it, the only reason why I like it is because I believe this is from his short stint with Judgment Day.
Yeah,
he had a short stint with them. So after he retires, moves on, years go by, this figure, because there's not going to be a lot of them.
It's going to be niche.
Yeah.
Or niche.
He'll retire again, 7 years will go by, and then he'll come back and ruin my life.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't like Edge.
Nope.
I forgot about that. So they did your boy really wrong here with that face scan. Look at the that looks like a blow up doll. The second one.
What in the hell?
You know, it's after 9 o'clock.
I pass on that one, man. And that's another one I just was not impressed. But the whole series, I think it was 2 series before this, was great figures. But then this one, I just was not impressed. I think the problem is the more you see the ones coming out, you get hyped, and then you get interested. And you want to see what's next, and then you get this, and you're like, damn, this sucks. Like, even I know you're going to get to the Foley one that's coming up, but I don't think that Foley is nearly as good as the earlier Mick Foley's. They had that Mick Foley 2 or 3 years ago, probably about 3 years ago. It was the Mick Foley WrestleMania edition that came out, and it looked badass, you know. And then this new Commissioner Foley doesn't look good at all to me.
Yeah.
And then for me too, I'm glad that they come out with a crap line because it saves some money in my wallet.
Yeah. Well, you know,
yeah, for sure.
Here's the thing too. Here's why I feel entitled to an opinion. Like normally, you know, I'm all about people not being entitled, but the reason I feel entitled to an opinion is I own hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of figures, and I own probably about $50,000 worth of inventory of wrestling merchandise. So, you know, I would say that's why I feel like I have an opinion on what is good and what is bad, because if it doesn't make me want to go on and order it, if it doesn't make me want to go to the store and try to hunt it down, then I'm the customer that's buying those. I'm the one, Ben, Kev, my whole crew, my admin crew, Michael, Cam, Donnie, Brian, all the guys. I'm the guy that's out there buying 10 of those figures to go get them signed. You know, I mean, I'm the guy that's buying a bulk of those to do different things with. So if I'm not buying them, then that's a big loss in sales for somebody, you know, because if I'm not buying them and the next guy's not buying them, that's just my opinion.
So
and I don't buy figures unless they're signed, and I usually buy my signed figures from Will. It has to be a special figure for me to buy it unsigned, because
that's the policy that I have with the pop figures. They have to be signed, but with this one, I mean, like, I really like the face scan they did here.
I hate that figure.
Dude's arms are so long, he could literally wipe his ass without bending his back.
Hey, but does he wear red? I always thought he wore black. Why's he got red trunks?
He has wore red.
I think he used to. Because he's supposed to be like part of the Russian group, right? And red's like a prominent color.
Imperial, yeah.
Imperial, yeah.
I'm a huge Gunther fan. I hate that figure.
You know what? Real quick, to get off subject, real quick. You know what I was thinking today? I was trying to go back, and we were talking about, you know, I know we got it coming up about who shouldn't be champion and stuff, but right now, when you would think of the Intercontinental Championship, that was the next person in line for the World Heavyweight title belt. And this guy right here is a great Intercontinental Champion as for today. And like I said, that's where I still think that WWE is doing good with him, is to give him a title push, because I wouldn't mind seeing him being a World Heavyweight Champion, because he's a great talent, good heel. But like I said, they're using, you know, right now, that's probably the only thing I can think of as for his character, is that he's a great IC champ right now. And they, you know, that belt was very important, and they got one great talent having it right now.
And one thing you can say about Gunther in general, man, I don't think anybody has ever watched a Gunther match and been like, man, skip that. That sucks. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's always a good match. It's always hard hitting and tough. I think someone put in the comment here, hold up, not that one. Now this character should have had his whole wardrobe. They failed on this wrestler. I agree with that, because I think this is his first time to the line as Gunther, maybe overall, but I'm pretty sure he's had a figure before. But the way I see it is, you know, they just thought they'll put him out. They don't have to give him a lot of accessories, because it's like the first time in the line. You know, they got to have a reason to sell you something later. But no, I definitely agree. Like, they should have given him more stuff. But
he had a ringside exclusive Walter figure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was like his chubbier version, or his thick version. Sorry,
before he got ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got some damn good chops. His performance in the Rumble was very impressive. I agree with that user. But yeah, let's go ahead. We'll move on to the next one here. Hold on a second.
He did do really well in the Rumble this year, but at the same time, you know, they kept him in there all that time just to have him get tossed out like nothing. That was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I know. I think the reason they did that too is so Cody didn't just was in there for a couple minutes. They actually made it out like he might not win, I guess. But
if that was the case, why wouldn't you bring somebody like Brock in at like number 29, have Brock take out Gunther, and then have Brock get thrown out by Lashley? I mean, Cody could have just as easily thrown out Lashley, and it wouldn't have hurt as bad. It kind of, you know, it really ruined the momentum that Gunther built at Rumble. And then, you know, he was doing great, and you really believed, hey, this guy's going to win. We thought it was going to be Cody, but it's going to be Gunther, and then he gets just tossed out. So,
yeah,
definitely could have written that a little bit better, I think.
So with this figure right here, I hate the face. I don't know why they didn't just give him a normal face and then, you know, have that as an accessory instead of the hat. I get the hat, though.
Where's the honorary Oos shirt?
Yep.
That's what you're saying. That's where they failed on that one. Where's the shirt? That was the whole key to that figure is where's the shirt?
Well,
Well,
I'm
they're
also
also,
way behind too, because this looks like
Yeah.
from the Jackass match with Johnny Knoxville. So of course
Yeah,
they just
that's
did a Johnny Knoxville figure.
that's the mousetrap and all that. Yeah, so they do work a lot behind. So we'll probably get the honorary Oos figure at some point, but
Because that was last year's WrestleMania, so that's a full year ago.
Mm-hmm.
yep. Because this says Sammy Forever right here. You can tell, so it's exact uniform he had at WrestleMania.
Yeah. But if you're releasing a Sami Zayn figure during this time period, if you put that honorary Oos shirt on him, you sold 2 or 3 times more of the figures than you would have having him be in that Knoxville match. Which I enjoyed the Knoxville match, but there's nothing about that match that would make me buy that Sammy figure.
Hey, who said about the not feeling Oosy about the mousetrap?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That's Sammy Trevino. Great.
Yeah, that's a great comment.
Nice.
I love this figure. I just do.
They did a really good job with the tattoo design. The quality on it's pretty high. I would imagine it's probably a little difficult to make it look like they're wearing pantyhose too, because I'm sure that's actually on the figure and not a piece of clothing you get.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a robe and jacket night for me, but like I love this jacket too. Or maybe I just like black leather, I guess.
Out of this whole series, I would say that's the best one out of this whole series. Mm-hmm. But for me, I think it's still a pass.
Yeah. You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Damn. Kyle, what do you think? You like Rhea Ripley?
That's my favorite one so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
They completely failed on my boy Theory.
I know, right?
Failed on. Yeah. And
I'm a Theory mark too, man.
I love that guy. I think he's great, and that figure is awful.
Kyle, you should know early that if you plan on getting any talking in, you just have to talk. You can't wait on us to call you because we're just going to say a bunch of random shit, and if you don't speak up, you're just going to sit there quietly. So when
I understand.
When you feel you have something to say, you just say it.
Got you.
Proceed.
Yep. Just talk over us.
So unless you're actually playing with your figures,
look how plain that is. That's so plain.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically they painted black over his torso here, obviously, to make it look like just a t-shirt or whatever.
Well, you can even see his damn belly button.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
And then compare this to the most recent Elite that he had, which was that Cactus Jack Elite from Ringside. That thing is totally badass compared to this.
Yeah, I'd give this like a 2 out of 10. Like I said, if you're actually posing these and playing with your figures like a kid would do, and I know that us as adults do that sometimes too, whether we like to admit it or not. But yeah, if you're not actually posing these, then this is definitely a pass.
I agree.
Yeah, like I said, you need the desk for the commissioner. Of course, he's got the gavel, which is the key thing there. When he was commissioner, he had the gavel. But like I said, he's a millionaire, got all kinds of money, but he's in reality, he's just like a normal guy. Like I said, that's a plain look. He's got the commissioner shirt and the gavel. I mean, yeah, that figure would definitely have to be open loose and displayed, but it is kind of plain. But didn't he also have the flannel, like the cut off flannel as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The red and black.
Yeah. So that's where I think if they added that, it might have made it a little bit better. But like I said, yeah, it's just kind of a plain. It almost reminds me of like that Scarlet. That's just a solid black, like just a head and solid black costume or outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were definitely shitting this. They were shitting this series out.
Yeah. It's really bad.
How bad. I hate this figure so bad. I will tell you, I would buy the Edge figure before I would buy this one.
Oh my god, that means a lot.
It's really bad when you have modern figures, especially these ringside exclusives, that are worse than the old Jack specifics. Because and I mean, if you look, I know this is a Mankind one, but let's see if I can get the glare out of it. But that thing's from '99. You know what I mean?
But
And
I love it.
I'll tell you something.
And-
I'll tell you something right now. I'm buying anything that has WrestleMania 2000 style to it.
Yep.
That's a nice.
But yeah,
bid.
you're right. Also, I think they did a Foley with that red and black flannel before.
Yeah. I want to say it is a Jack Specifics that they did a Commissioner Foley. I just can't remember what year it was.
And here's the chase of the theory, I believe.
Same.
Now that one's a little better.
It's
Hey,
a little better.
You know what I just realized we forgot?
What?
We didn't create an event and send invites.
Oh well, that's all right.
I just
It's,
realized that 32 minutes in. So guys in the chat, if you could help us and tag some of our other members and stuff so we can get them in the discussion, that'd be awesome. So
We let the excitement of doing the podcast drive us so hard that we forgot to tell other people about it.
exactly.
Let the rabbit out.
That's all right though. They could watch it on the playback too. And
Yeah,
we're
we're
for
also
the-
going on. Also, Stephen, can you explain what else we're doing new this week?
YouTube.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. So I recently just got monetized on YouTube. I hit over 1,000 subscribers the other day, and
Nice.
not the flex or anything. I still can't believe it. But I'll be posting a replay of this on YouTube, and a lot of people are, probably watching this on YouTube right now, later on. But for those that are here, we definitely appreciate you guys staying with us live. We most of the time we do follow a lot of what you guys comment, so we really appreciate it when you interact with us. Even though there's usually 4 or 5 of us, it's always great to pull other people's opinions in on what we're doing. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So Will, what do you think? You like this one?
Nope.
Even with the different uniform and the phone?
The straight pass for me is like talking about AEW.
He's like, so far, Will's like, dude, all these figures are no good, man.
They're not.
All right, well, we're going to
I
SummerSlam Elites.
guarantee there's going to be a couple on here that is going to change his mind.
So now we're in the SummerSlam
There we
Elites.
go. Yeah.
Now
I love this series. I love this series. Even Ziggler, and I'm not a Ziggler fan. That's a great looking Ziggler, and I'm not.
I
a Ziggler,
agree.
but
Looks
I can tell
just
you.
like him.
I can tell you what's going to happen right now. I'm going to buy that Ziggler. I'm going to take those black pants out of that attire right there, out of that package. I'm going to resell the Ziggler, and I'm going to build the Mr. Perfect SummerSlam 2 figures. What I'm going to do, just so you know.
Nice. I really like the
Same.
face gain on this one too. Good old Jobber Ziggler these days,
Yep. Well, want to be Sean.
There we go. There's a must.
Love it.
Yep.
Yes.
Gotta buy the Hulkster, brother.
And real quick, what we talked about? I'm from Elite 100, the 100, and then now the SummerSlams. Those, just the packaging itself is badass.
Yeah.
And that's a must buy. I'm going to get that one, and there's going to be another one I'm sure we're going to show, but that one's one of the must buys I'm going to have. I'm going to probably buy this whole series, like what William said, open them up, build a Mr. Perfect figure. But that one, I'm definitely going to get one left in the box.
Yeah, I'd like to get a couple of those signed, one for me and one for the live show.
Hey guys, welcome to the cast. I see a few other people came in. We're looking at some of the new figures that are coming out right now. We're looking at the SummerSlam Elites. Got mixed reviews here in the comments about Hogan.
Ooh, Hogan.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is, but they're not a fan.
That's Mrs. Buckler.
Oh, okay. Is that why you said?
Wow.
You gonna have to talk to her.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need to go in the other room.
It's gonna be an episode of Cops at Kev's house tonight.
I tell you what, I do like this Hogan. Yeah, I didn't really get to see him in this attire live, though. As a kid, but it's okay.
I would buy that for sure. I would definitely get some of them signed because that's going to be, in my opinion, just like that Survivor Series Elite. Remember the crazy-eyed Survivor Series Elite that came out probably 2 years ago? I think it was 2021 of Hogan at the Survivor Series. He has the belt around his waist, and he's got like the crazy eyes. And so I told everybody in the very beginning, I said, you know what? These figures are super hard to find. They're not online. They're hard to find in the stores. Buy these figures because they're only going up in value, and they consistently still go up in value, and you can't find them anywhere. So there are some on eBay, but they're drastically overpriced. But I think this is going to be another one of those where it's going to go up. This, and I'm sure you're going to get to it, the one where he's in the Mr. America outfits, the Chase and the regulars. So I would say buy these because I don't think they're going to be around very long.
Oh yeah, for sure. And back to what Ben was saying a minute ago about the packaging being nice. A lot of the times it is the packaging that sells it for me. Like the Survivor Series line that came out with Drew McIntyre and Kane like two years ago.
Yeah,
I absolutely love the packaging.
I agree.
You got one right next to you?
I do.
Let's see it. Yeah, see? I don't know, but just for some reason that color scheme, it just kills, man.
That's the benefit of being in the office right next to a shelf full of damn figures.
That's right. All right, next up we've got the what is this, Jimmy? No, it's Jay.
I don't understand why they released this. They just released an Uso a couple series ago, Series 96, I think it was. They just released one, and then at 89 or 90, they released an Uso. So I don't understand why they released this one.
I'm not sure either.
He's the next AJ.
By himself,
Next AJ or Finn or those two used to come out with tons or Cody.
One thing that Jack's Classic Superstars did right that Elites have not done right is Elites are releasing everybody individually, but the Jack's Classic Superstars would put tag teams together. They would put triples together. They would do all that stuff. That's something they all did correctly, where Mattel, I don't think, has done that correctly. And I don't know if it's a price point issue because they're worried about charging $60 or $50 or whatever for two Elites together. But they just did that triple Raw set from the early Raw days with Undertaker, Razor, and the 1-2-3 Kid. And I think those sold very, very well because they hit the targets, and you can't find them in the targets, at least around here. Mm-hmm. So, and that was a fire set. That was incredible. I had to have one of those. So I think they're missing the boat by not putting tag teams together. For example, they have the new head shrinkers coming out, the tag team head shrinkers, the Elites, and I'm sure they're going to put them individually as Elites. Same thing with these Usos. They're doing them individually, and there's a lot of tag teams out there that they could do as a tag team set. One of my favorite sets of figures, which I'll show at some point, is my Heart Foundation Elites. They come with the glasses and the tag titles. That was like Series 50 or 52 or 55 or somewhere way back then, but they even released those individually. I think by releasing 2-packs or even a 3-pack would really help.
Yep. Yeah, definitely agree there. But hey, the head sculpt here for Kurt, pretty nice.
Yeah, that's that SummerSlam 92 head sculpt.
Oh yeah. I'm a big Kurt Hennig guy.
If I had to do that Build-A-Figure, is that going to have Mr. Perfect on the back of it in diamonds or whatever he had?
No, it just says Perfect or Mr. Perfect on it, but it's when he was with Flair, of course, during 92.
Flair, yeah.
He was the financial consultant. Remember, they wouldn't call him manager. They called him the financial consultant or the executive consultant.
Yeah, that's why he has this little, I guess this is his torso here.
Yeah. There's a must-have, too. There's the second.
Yep.
Old Debo, Zeus.
Love it. There's another one. We've been talking about Zeus quite a bit recently. And, man, I'll tell you, that's a huge loss for him passing away. And, a huge loss for shows, a huge loss to get to see him in person and stuff. he wasn't involved in a lot of years of wrestling, but he was involved in some of the biggest moments in SummerSlam history, Hulk Hogan history, and what a tremendous loss. And it has taken 30 plus years to start really getting some good figures out. Now they had a classic Superstars Zeus out, but prior to that, can anybody remember there ever being a Zeus figure before the classic Superstars? There was never a Hasbro. There was never an LJN. I don't think WCW ever did one that I ever saw. So it took 30-something years, 35 years or almost 35 years to get some Zeus figures. Like I said, we had the classic Superstars in the probably about 2009, 2010 era. But, now we're finally getting some Zeuses. We had the No Holds Barred one that was released, and now we've got this one. So I think any of these Zeuses are must-buys.
I agree.
Great.
So now you can have what? Now with this Zeus, and then you just had Sherry come out, Sensational Sherry, and then the Macho King. Is that all of those three the same attire right there when they faced Hogan and Beefcake?
The Sherry that came out several years ago with the purple dress would have been more of that Sherry. This is more the Sherry like 92 with Shawn Michaels, but
okay.
Still a badass. Well, there she goes off the stand, but it's still a badass Sherry, and I would highly recommend it. This is a SummerSlam one, and personally, I don't buy a lot of the Diva figures, but I had to have a Sherry and I had to have a Miss Elizabeth because it's the historical value. You have to have those in the sets.
Yeah, you say there was a Hogan chase or something, red, white, and blue.
Yeah, when you get to the Mr. America figures. There's a regular Mr. America, and then there's a chase version.
That's what's Elite's 99 or 101.
So, yeah, I see Elite 101 here. Hold on, let me see. I don't think I actually had those prepared. We showed 102, but I could pull them up real quick.
Steven, I think you showed them last week or a week before.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago or a week before.
Hey, speaking of blow up doll figures, guys, I love a Goldberg figure. I think I have them all. But I mean, here again, you got Goldberg just chilling with his mouth wide open on the Ultimate Edition Goldberg, and then also the new Roman Reigns Ultimate too, which I love the Ultimate. I'm going to show that figure as my figure for the week, but he also comes with the same head sculpt like that as well, where his mouth's wide open like a blow-up doll.
It's not too bad.
Love me some Goldberg.
We'll kind of just spin through these real quick.
Where's Goldberg? Goldberg's down.
I definitely think that Johnny Knoxville is pretty cool, but I don't see a lot of those selling.
I like that Knoxville figure. I think honestly, you might think it's crazy, but I think I would buy that Knoxville figure instead of a lot of the other ones that I wouldn't have bought.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it's like one of the things that like a lot of people I don't think are going to want to buy it just because they're like, he's just a celebrity or whatever. But that match was entertaining.
But I also bought that Rob Gronkowski Elite, and I don't think anybody else bought that one.
Well, then in like 15, 20 years, you'll be selling that mug for $200-$300, and everybody else will be like, damn, why didn't I buy that Rob?
Yeah. You know what I had in the past, too, and I know some of these other guys have it, is that King Harley Race Elite. I bought that when it first came out, and somebody wanted it. And, I sold it for like $30 because somebody really wanted it. And it was valued at like a couple $100 back then. And now it's over $300 valued. Mm-hmm. So I kind of wish I'd have kept that one.
Yep.
Here's Sonya Deville. I heard she just recently got arrested for carrying in New Jersey. She didn't know the gun laws and got in trouble. Yeah,
you got to stay out of those commie states.
I thought about you whenever I saw that she got arrested in Jersey for carrying. She started carrying a handgun because of her previous experience with a stalker. And
Got to know the laws, man. Got to know the laws. You and I have talked about that quite a bit in the past. You and I have. You got to know the laws. Got to know them.
I love this Ricochet. You know, I used to say I hated that Intercontinental belt, but now I don't think it's that bad. It grew on me.
It's just so anti-classic. The classic title look is just so amazing. And it's just so different from the classic.
Here's that chase. It's that chase you were talking about, right?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
It's already retailed, what, $50?
Not me. It won't be me, I tell you that.
No, I think it's already like 45, 50, just retail right now. That's retail. That's not what it'll go up in.
Yeah, but that was Elite 101 that we went through last week. All right, now we're on to the Ultimate Edition. These are the last of the figures we're looking at today. Then we'll jump into our Mount Rushmores. But we got Seth and Andre. And honestly, man, these are pretty freaking cool, man. I know you said you prefer the one Andre that came out already in the suit.
I do.
And if they better put out a Seth Rollins at some point with those big ass red boots, because
the Marios.
I need the Marios, man.
Yeah. Where's the big robe? Where's the glasses? Because I'm becoming a Seth Rollins fan lately. Like I said, he's growing on me. And this one's just kind of plain because he's a flashy right now, like flashy character. And this one's just like he's got the Midnight Rockers or the Rockers of Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels pants.
Every Seth they've put out to date has always been a very plain figure.
Yeah,
it's inexcusable too because he's been doing that gimmick for almost a year, maybe over a year now.
Yeah.
Now that WrestleMania Seth, I think I sold it to somebody, but it was in like his white gear from WrestleMania one year. I thought that was pretty good, but that was a basic.
I'm not embarrassed to say that the only Seth Rollins figure I own is the retro figure. Other than that, I don't own one because they've all been so plain. Even the retro figure, black pants and gray boots. I mean, it was just so plain, you know.
And he does the plain action where he just bounces.
He's a jumper. He's a jumper action.
Yeah,
it's a shame. Tell you what, though, these face scans on the extra heads, they don't even look like him.
Looks like Wario off the Marios.
Yeah, a little bit.
the one in the middle.
Yeah, that's a pass for me.
How can you call it an Ultimate Edition? Just a bunch of extra hands
and heads.
People that mess with these figures, do they really change the hands that much? Maybe if you're doing stop motion.
What does everybody want?
Yeah,
hands.
We need a new Al. We need a new Al Snow figure. Damn it.
What does everybody want?
Well, especially going back with the Seth Rollins. Now, I would buy if he comes out like WrestleMania, how he's doing they're doing those little preview movies, like him as the Joker. Now that was badass. That little commercial or preview with him and Becky as were his Joker, and she was like the man as Batman. But like I said, I would buy that figure if he's dressed up like the Joker.
Should just call it Beckman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Becky's the man in that household.
Yep.
This one isn't too bad. You get 3 heads this time and 3 sets of hands. Wait, did the Seth have 3? It did. Okay, so a total of 4 if you count the ones that are already on there. There's not a lot you could do with Andre. You know what I mean? He just wore a singlet.
To me, though, like I said, you just had him come out with you had a chase version and a regular version Elite, and those both look incredible. So why are you then putting out an Ultimate right at the same time? You're not going to get quadruple or triple or quadruple sales, I don't think, on these figures. You're going to make a decision as a figure guy, unless you're a OCD collector and you got to have them all, or some of these guys that read on the box where it says collect them all, and they took that shit as a challenge, and they literally got to collect them all. But I don't think if I'm standing in the store or if I'm online and I'm looking at all 3 Andre figures that are releasing about the same time, that I'm buying all 3 for the collection and putting them all on the shelf. I don't think so. First of all, You can't get them signed. So if you're a mint on card collector, what are you going to do? You're going to put 3 Andres on one shelf, or
Right.
what are you going to do? Open them up, have 3 Andres together, the regular version, the chase version, and then the ultimate version. For me, this is a pass, and only because if they had just released this figure and not released the ones in the suits, maybe I would have bought this one, but I'm not buying all 3, and I'm probably not going to hunt down the chase, because the regular suit version with the championship belt, which I believe is the Andre 87 belt, which is the first time that one's been released. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the figure I'm buying.
The shit about the shit, to be honest with you, is if they were going to release 3 of him like that, why didn't they just do one of those 4-packs like they did with Taker a few years ago?
Correct.
I agree.
Just give it all to you at one time.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, looks like my kitty's going to be a part of the stream now. But that was all the figures that we had for today. So,
well, good. It only took 56 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It was a couple. There was some stuff on there.
So, look, my collection show and tell figure of the week is the Tribal Chief.
Yeah, hold on. Let me
both championship belts. I didn't put the blowjob head on him. He's got the one where he comes with his mouth wide open, like he's about to suck an exhaust pipe. But here, you got the look, you got the bloodline shirt, you got the championship titles, and you got that awesome face sculpt on the back. You got the writing on the back of the shirt. This to me was a must-buy figure. Absolute must-buy figure. It's a great figure. It's a great head scan. Like I said, it does come with another head scan as well, and multiple hands. But that to me is one of my favorite Ultimates they've released. It is not my favorite of all time, but it is one of my favorite Ultimates they've released.
I got some figures of the week that I'm excited to show, which we talked about to save some money on my wallet. But
sorry about that. I had to take the
these
kitty.
are badass. I had to get them. There was the last 3 that I was waiting on. So I got the Scott Hall, the Outsiders. Got Kevin Nash to complete it. And then I needed the Shawn. Got the Shawn. So these are like completed the Superstar series. So I got all the Superstars. And then now I just need the Dusty Rhodes, and I'll have all of the WrestleMania so I can build a figure of the Mean Gene. Love this Macho King figure. And then last one real quick. I know I spent a lot of money on figures this week. Got me a Goldberg.
Oh, nice. With 2 belts?
Yeah, I got the 2 belts. So now this is a great elite. Of course, you got 2 heads. Nice. And you got the big gold world heavyweight title belt and the U.S. championship belt.
Yeah, I just showed it. I just showed it loose.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a badass.
Okay, so I have one.
It's
can
a
you show
badass figure.
Can you show that Taker again?
Goldberg is a badass figure, but can you put that back up for just a second? I know we got to move on to the other guys, but check out the mouth. What I was telling you guys. Look at the mouth in the package. See the Goldberg mouth? That's the one that I had on the head itself. See that one? I don't know what they're doing with that
suck
stuff.
Off one.
I think somebody at Mattel is definitely needing to release some energy or something, because I don't know. Maybe they have a fetish for some of these figures. I don't know.
Ben, he's talking about the one that was above the 2 belts. It looks like he's sucking the straw.
the one with the smoke coming out of his mouth.
So that's him spitting afterwards. No, it is. That's him spitting.
Yeah.
I got one for you guys. I got one for you guys. Swallower. If I can get it. Will, I was gonna show you one of my triple sets from Jack Specifics that you were talking about earlier, because I have the one of 3,500 limited edition. You can kind of see it in here. It's the Evolution set from Jack Specific from the early 2000s. But I'll go ahead and show this one. This is my Dusty Rhodes, and this is, where's the glare at? So this is a 1 of 3,000 figure, and
nice.
If you guys are going after something like this, you got to be careful with this guy, because a lot of people will, on his bandana, that's typically the piece people lose, and you'll see him, and there'll just be a black rubber ring in there if you're trying to buy him on eBay or something. So they've taken it out of the package and they've repackaged them, and then you just have like a rubber ring in there for the headband. So you got to make sure that yellow polka dot headband's in there for it to be legit. So,
what's up, DJ?
What's up, DJ?
I agree. So great.
Okay, I got one.
Go ahead, Kev.
Okay, I bought this from Will. This is Thunder Rosa. This is one of her first figures ever. She made this figure, right, Will?
Yep, she custom made
and
those.
It's signed by her.
Yep,
it's pretty cool.
And I absolutely love this figure.
So as far as I know, she only ever made 4, which that's what she had told me at the time. She had made 4, and I bought 2 of the 4 that she made. Kev got one, and I can't remember who bought the other one, but somebody else bought the other one that I got. So I bought them directly from her and had her sign them when I bought them. Believe it or not, she charged me for the figure, and then she charged me for the auto too, for both of them. So, but that just kind of, tells you how she is. But, it's all about making money. I get it. So she was not nearly as pleasant as I would have expected when I met her. I don't know if she was having a bad day. Sometimes that happens, but I never went back and got anything else signed by her. I can tell you that. But she did custom make that. It's a super cool figure. She said she made them herself. So, that really was a selling point for me, and it's a badass figure, and it's a very detailed figure as well.
It is.
Oh yeah. All right. So we're all done with figures for now. I know that might upset some, but next we're moving on to, we're going to do who should have and who shouldn't have been world champion. And I actually forgot to prepare for this, even though I'm the one that wrote it in. But I did think of something. It may or may not count. I'll go ahead and kind of go first with it. So when Kevin Owens was Universal Champion for that short period of time a few years ago, and then he got shitted out to Goldberg. So I would say I don't think Goldberg should have been champion at that time. I really would have liked for Kevin to sneak around with that belt a little longer. So I guess that would be what I would count. Because, Goldberg's been champion so many times, he didn't necessarily need to be champion again.
So my next.
But, yeah, Kev, if you want to go next, I guess nobody had any input on that. So.
Well, I'm not going to comment. I totally disagree, because I was at that WrestleMania when Goldberg entered as the Universal Champion and dropped it to Brock. So I can't agree, because, people have this perception that Goldberg had been multi-time world champions, and that's not true. Goldberg was only ever champion in WCW one time for about 7 months. And then in WWE for about a month and a half, he was a world champion. So that's only 2 titles. His third title came from beating Owens, and that was only his 3rd world title ever. So it seems like because he was so popular in the 90s in WCW that he was world champion for a long time or multiple times, but he wasn't. But I was at WrestleMania 33 when he came in as the champion. It was absolutely awesome. It was a great match, even though it wasn't very long. It was still a great match, and I really enjoyed it. And I would not have enjoyed that WrestleMania nearly as much if it had been Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho for the Universal title.
Gotcha. But I guess if I would say who should have been champion, I know Finn was champion and got hurt and had to give it up, but it would have been nice for him to finally get the run that he deserved and earned, post-injury. But yeah, Kev, if you want to take the floor, man.
Yeah, so who I think never should have been champion was Jack Swagger.
That's a good one.
I could agree with that.
He had it for a cup of coffee, but he never should have had it. And who I think should have been champion, Scott Hall.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on the Scott Hall there, Kevin. But as far as somebody who shouldn't have ever been champion, we'll keep it recent. I was not a fan. I think it was like two and a half years ago when Bray Wyatt became Universal Champ. I was not a fan of that at all when he took it from Seth Rollins.
Okay, yeah. You know, that whole feud in general was cool, but it was also like really disappointing, especially when they stopped the Hell in a Cell match because that's the same time period you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Bray is so mystical in his character that he doesn't need a belt.
That is true. And I agree with that.
All
Ben,
right.
you want to go ahead?
Yeah. I got several.
Make up for me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go in the past.
That was another 58-minute segment.
Damn it, Ben.
No. I'm just gonna rattle them off. Who shouldn't have been? So I'm gonna think of. For me, it's like world heavyweight champions. Ronnie Garvin at the time. I don't think he should. Back then Flair should have held on to it as long as he could have. Ronnie Garvin. And then when he started going later, I think we just talked about him earlier. Dolph Ziggler shouldn't have been world heavyweight champion. To me, he's another jobber. Like we talked about last week or two about Sammy. Probably I would have put Sammy over Dolph to win.
Really?
Yes. And then we start to think about. Those are probably the two off the top of the Marty Jannetty as Intercontinental Championship, because that what we just talked about earlier as well about the IC title was so important. That was your next person going to be next person up to be elected to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and Marty Jannetty should have won it. Yeah, it was a little. They're all right around story times. They're going to get good guys going to get steal the belt real quick, and then. The heel's going to get it back or someone, the other way around as well. But those three right now off the top of my head shouldn't have been, those prestige title holders. I don't. But for people that should have been, which Scott Hall, very first one, which we talked about the reasons that he didn't want that responsibility to, that the World Heavyweight Championship, comes with. But would have been an excellent choice. In WWF at the time, Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect should have been a world heavyweight champion. Roddy Piper. You got, those several of the great legends. You have, as for tag teams, there should have been better, some that should have won as tag teams. Like our guest, the Powers of Pain. Was excellent, or they should be in the Hall of Fame too. So I mean, those are just some that I think should have been and shouldn't have. But all right, William.
Well, you guys. I hope I don't piss anybody off because I'm going to say some controversial shit here. But that's why we do the rabbit hole. So first of all, how in the hell every one of you guys talked and none of y'all mentioned Braun Strowman being Universal Champion? What a complete waste that was. That was awful.
Happened so fast you can't even talk about it.
Yeah,
I forgot about it.
In the blink of an eye, right?
And then Jinder Mahal too. I forgot about that one.
Hey,
but the one
I actually like the gender one.
But the one that's really going to be controversial, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to try to be extremely careful how I say it, not to offend anybody, because I really like the guy, I like the character, I like the competitor, but. Rest in peace. God bless him. If Eddie Guerrero didn't pass away, Rey Mysterio never would have been a world champion. They gave him. Go ahead.
I was just about to cut in relevant to what you're talking about. I just watched Rey's biography today. Honestly, my favorite one so far. And they were talking about, Eddie dying and then he became champ at 22. And I thought the same thing in my head. I was like, I bet you Rey's only champion because of everything with Eddie.
So I think with Eddie passing, Eddie was WWE champion. 2004, he passed late 2005, October, I believe it was 2005. And, I think he could have been a multiple-time world champion. Everybody, for whatever reason, loved Eddie Guerrero, be it backstage, be it fans. Everybody had their own reasons for loving him. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. The guy was a tremendous talent. Rey Mysterio is a tremendous talent. Just all the way around, he's tremendous talent. But he's also the size of a fifth grade kid. And putting the World Heavyweight Championship on him was so unbelievable that for me, in about 20 seconds, Kurt Angle would have ripped that dude in half. Randy Orton would have ripped that dude in half. And they had him out there as, World Heavyweight Champion coming out of 22 and WrestleMania 22, not 2022. And they had him as World Heavyweight Champion. I don't think anywhere along the way, if they weren't trying to do something to make the fans kind of feel better or accept that Eddie was gone, then you don't see that happen with Rey. And it's sad because he's had a great career. He's been important in every role he's been in. But if you think about it too, and here's another part of it, much later on after that, I think it was 2012 or maybe 2013, Rey had the WWE Championship too when he was in that match with Cena on Raw. You guys remember that? And Cena ends up going out and beating him and becoming champion, WWE champion. Might have been 2011. I don't remember when it was.
It was the same night, right?
Yeah, I'm sure Thomas Brunette can tell us exactly when it was, the day of the event, all that stuff. But, if you think about it, there's a guy, again, that never should have been champion. But, no, his run wasn't nearly as bad as Braun Strowman's was. But still, that's a guy. Now, as far as who should have been World Heavyweight Champion, you guys named off some great ones. But what about Roddy Piper? So a couple opportunities where Piper should have been champion. Late 85, after WrestleMania had cooled down. Of course, you had to have Hogan with the title to make WrestleMania 1 happen. But afterwards, you easily could have transitioned into Piper being the champion. You could have had him go back and forth. You could have had Hogan take it back. Then you go into WrestleMania 2. You've got your Piper versus T match. You've got your Hogan Bundy match. Then you could have transitioned it very easily over to Paul Orndorff to be the champion, Mr. Wonderful, for a little while. And then, of course, going into 3, when you've got Andre, WrestleMania 3, you've got Andre, that whole thing going on. So there was a lot of different opportunities there. So I think, there's some different champions, but Piper for sure. And then, of course, later on in around the 97 time period in WCW, how Roddy Piper, after beating Hogan at Starrcade 96 and then having great matches in 97 with Hogan at Super Brawl and Halloween Havoc, how in the hell you don't have Piper at least hold that World Heavyweight Championship for a short time makes no sense to me. So that's what I would say. Again, I know some of it may be a little bit controversial. I'm not disrespecting anybody whatsoever. That's not my style. But I'm calling it straightforward as it is. And I think sometimes in wrestling, they do things to try to cater or make people feel better when it maybe is not the best thing for the business.
Well, I don't disagree with you on Rey. It was a very sudden championship win. But when you look, and I just have a question for you. So like when you look at Rey Mysterio's storyline and who he was to the WWE, he was a revolutionary as far as lucha wrestling coming into the WWE. He was known as the small guy that beat the big guy. So you had the Randy Orton as a legend killer, right? And then you have Rey Mysterio that is really the first ever giant slayer. He was known to beat the big shows, the Brock Lesnar's, all the big guys. Can you solidify Rey Mysterio's storyline without a world championship title?
Well, I don't think you had to, though. It's like Kofi Kingston. It's great that Kofi won at 35 and the whole Kofi Mania thing happened. But, Kofi's a tremendous talent with all those other championships that even though I'm glad he had it, at least for a short time, I don't think Kofi ever needed to be world champion either. And I still think he solidified as one of the greatest high-flying wrestlers and a tremendous talent all around. I think Ray still has the same career, regardless of whether or not he holds that World Heavyweight Championship, which let's not forget, and here's the real controversial part, let's not forget that same title was held by David Arquette. So how much value did it have?
And nobody said he shouldn't have been.
And you also got to think too. You also got to think too. There probably wouldn't be as many champions, world heavyweight champions, as there are, because back then that's when they split up the shows to 2 champions. So we might not even have this conversation. It'd still be your main typical one champion. Like right now, we're seeing it with Roman Reigns for almost 3 years or 2 years, whatever it is, you wouldn't see as many champions, so we probably wouldn't have these, one-nighters or one week, 1 monthers that we have. But
I'm going to add one more that I think when he passes away, I think they'll add him to the having the world or WWE Championship, and that's Ted DiBiase. I think when he dies, they'll go on and add him in there because Andre gave him the championship. That's just how WWE works.
I think he should have been a world champion, no doubt.
But he should have been.
Speaking of that, I just finished my 95 WCW, and technically, who should not have been a champion was Macho Man at the last Fall Brawl, where World War III, the battle. Hogan went under the ropes, and then Macho Man was declared the winner. So technically, at that time, but he only held it for like not even a month because he lost it to Starrcade Ric Flair. But
hey, a comment here. We got to make sure we're catching these comments because we've been missing comments all night. Apologize for that, guys. Comment of the night. Think about what they did with Ray after he lost his mask to Nash in WCW. That kickstarted his giant killer gimmick, right? So the best part of him losing that mask to Nash was when he took it off and Nash and Hall were looking at him and they're like, whoa, put it back on. That was hilarious if you think about that. Because basically they were saying, you're so ugly, put the damn mask back on. It was hilarious, So great comment there from Sammy.
And they covered that in the biography too. But they didn't say exactly what you did. But they were saying, he took the mask off and then he's just nobody. You know what I'm saying? He's just some regular dude.
Ray commented too. Vince McMahon never should have been WWF champion. And also too, he said Finn Balor still needs to have his title run. I agree with both of those points. Great points.
Definitely. Also, Will, you said Kofi won at 35. Has it really been that long?
Yeah, it was 35. It was in New York against Daniel Bryan. Yeah,
it just blows my mind how quick time flies.
Yeah, it was Kofi Mania is what they called it. And then, at 30 in New Orleans with Daniel Bryan winning it, they called it Yeselmania because, it was all about Daniel Bryan that year. But, yep, it was 35.
This comment says they basically made it a tribute run to Eddie for Ray. So basically it's obvious he was going to win all those matches leading to Mania. It takes a lot of the thrill out of it when you know what's going to happen. That's another reason why I've started to lean more towards I think Cody's not going to get it done at Mania against Reigns. I think Reigns is going to keep it.
Well, and too, I'm surprised, William, this is one I thought you would say should have been a champion, was Earthquake during that time with Hulk Hogan. To me, I'm sitting here looking, Bam Bam Bigelow. Yeah. Another one that should have been especially
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. There's a ton of people. I mean, we could name names all night long. There's no doubt. Earthquake, we've talked about Earthquake. I think Earthquake was one of the most unrecognized real world champions there ever should have been. I mean, what a tremendous talent. Back then, there wasn't a lot of guys that could supposedly put Hogan on the shelf, and what a tremendous athlete for being such a big guy. But again, not everybody can be champion, and that was during Warrior's run. If that was during Hogan's run, I think Earthquake would have took that belt off of him And that SummerSlam match would have been a WWF Championship match where Hogan would have tried to reclaim the title. So very good point.
I seen somebody in the comments say Rick Rude. That's a very, very good answer. But in my opinion, Rick Rude was world champion. He had the big old belt in
he was
WCW International. So in my opinion, that I hold him as world champion. But
Bigelow was ECW champion, but I don't think we're necessarily counting ECW championships. I mean, maybe we should. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think we're talking about more of the mainstream titles.
Yeah, like for WWF. Yeah,
we're talking about the real world's champions. You know, woo,
woo.
So another person here in the comments, you've been seeing this go around for a while, especially in our group, where everybody's gung ho about the belt split. Sammy gets one, Cody gets another. I really don't think that's going to happen. I heard from a pretty good source that they're not going to split the belts. They're going to keep it all on one guy.
They definitely need to split them.
Yes,
I agree. I definitely agree. They should split them, but until it happens,
I don't think they should split him with Roman though, because Roman's run, what he's had, I mean, he's been an unstoppable force, and now all of a sudden he loses 2 in a row to 2 different people. I just don't see that. I just don't see that being believable in the storyline. Is that one person?
I don't want him to lose to Cody.
I don't want him to lose to Cody either. But if he does drop the belts, he needs to drop them to one person and then allow that next person to split them. Because you can't have a character that can hold these 2 belts for so long and then lose them back to back.
I think it should be
the next guy up.
Controversial. I think it should be controversial. I think it should be, he loses to whoever, and then the next night on Raw, you got Heyman comes out and says, whoa, wait a minute, read the contract. That was for the WWE Championship, but still your Universal Champion is Roman Reigns. And I think that's how they get over with splitting the belts. And then eventually you could have Roman drop the other one and nobody would ever notice it. But I think that's how you should effectively do that one is you want to split the belts, I would assume, because you've got one show consistently with no champion. And when Roman doesn't work that week, you've got both shows with no champion. And some of these pay-per-views, in my opinion, forever and ever and ever, you should never have a pay-per-view or a premium live event, whatever the hell you want to call it this week, without a world championship match. You shouldn't have it. That's your time to defend your belt. That's the time to showcase your title. And I think that's part of what's cost a lot of fans not to watch these events is, well, there's no world championship match, so what do I care? Even the Elimination Chamber, I know they did have the Reigns and the Sami Zayn match, but what if they just had that Elimination Chamber match with Theory and they didn't have that Reigns and Zayn match? That pay-per-view wouldn't have been nearly as good as it was.
I agree with that, but I'm just glad that all the premium live events or pay-per-views, whatever, I still don't want to commit to calling them PLEs, but they've all been pretty damn good lately, and so I can't be mad with what they do, even though some of it's bullshit, but that's part of the fun and story. All right, this commenter, they said, I see it being believable, and here's why. If he loses one belt, then he takes a hit to his confidence and second guesses himself, which leads to him losing the second one. Then Roman goes away to the island of relevancy and then returns triumphantly to win one or both belts later on down the line.
Well, I think we can kind of get over this theory of The Rock's going to come back and it's going to be a great show and he's going to beat
because this would have been the one.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought, really last year was, kind of the Rock's going to come back at 38 and this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And then it ends up being Brock Lesnar and Roman. And, 38 wasn't one of the best Manias ever. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But,
are we at a time right now where this is like the Stone Cold era of now Roman Reigns is Stone Cold, like where he has no opponents, no one or equal of value or name drawn that, he's going to have to they're either going to have to do something with, because I don't see him losing these titles.
They got to screw him. They got to screw him out of it.
The only ones that are even possible to be replace Roman right now would be AJ Styles, which he's been out injured. You got Randy Orton coming back. But even Randy Orton coming back right now, I don't know how believable that would be to beat Roman. And then, like I said, I think the Rock thing is gone. Mm-hmm. So you got AJ, you got Randy Orton, maybe Lashley, possibly, maybe.
Maybe Theory, but that's not believable.
No, but maybe Lashley.
Yep. Brock, they've already fought 3 or 4 times, and Roman smashed him off those times. So,
yeah. Tyler put in the comments here, who's going, or not? It wasn't Tyler, it was someone else. They said, who's going to Philly for Mania? Is that 40?
I'm gonna try. That's close 40. For me.
I want to go.
I'm planning to go.
Me too.
Well, we'll just all go then.
Wasn't there?
We're all going, baby.
Yeah, wasn't there 1 2? It's I could be dreaming, or I'm wrong about Nashville, or am I totally off?
You're totally off.
Okay.
I don't know.
I want to say there's a big event coming in for Nashville, years down.
We need a South WrestleMania that isn't in Florida.
Whoa.
Look, listen, you've had 3 in the last decade.
You don't worry about what we have down here.
Look, man, I'm trying to go. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
If it's like 2 hours away, it's more likely to happen. Because my fat ass ain't getting on no plane.
Philly wouldn't.
Mine ain't either.
Philly wouldn't be bad. I'm planning to go to Philly next year. So now
Pick
Los Angeles.
That's on the way.
Way too far. Los Angeles.
That's where my Eagles live.
Yep. Yeah, I would go to Philly.
Hell yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll talk more about that later, but let's go ahead and jump into this. Let's go ahead and jump into our next segment, the Mount Rushmore for managers.
Wait, we've had 5 in the past decade, right?
In Florida?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we had 24. We had 28. We had
24
33.
would be
2008. Tampa, Miami. There's 2.
2008. So we had 28, 33. We had 36 and 37.
You guys need to share the wrestling, man.
Yeah, not with Los Angeles. That's way too far.
Yeah, nah. Well, we'll give them 1, and then they'll be good for a few years. No Rock, though.
They've been wanting to do it in Minnesota.
At Mall of America?
No, at the stadium, the Viking Stadium.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I mean, that might be cool. All right, so we're moving into the Mount Rushmore managers segment here. We've got Ben's Rushmore up here first. Ben, if you want to take it away, man.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of similarities, especially for managers. Right there, the top, in my opinion, the top is kind of – I know we had discussion about the 4th one. Bobby the Brain Heenan of all, he's probably my number 1 of all time. Like I said, great. He is the brain. So he is the brain. So like almost got different. Each one's got their own thing. So you got the brain, you got the mouth of the South, you got the Spitfire and Jim Cornette, and then one of the actual revolutionary managers and Captain Lou Albano and moving the Hogan rock and wrestling during that time. And then also he was in the movies, whereas the TV show Super Mario. So we got a lot of greats here, especially Bobby Heenan. He's got the one-liners, the great promos. I'm right now enjoying going back watching some old WCW Nitros with Bobby the Brain Heenan, Jim Cornette. Of course, a lot of these, were managers of a lot of talent that held championships. So as for Jim Cornette, as for territories, he did a lot of the, territories, a promoter, has done a lot now in doing podcasts. Either people like him or hate him. Then Mouth of the South, when I was mid to early 90s, to me, he was one of the last managers to still be doing it, in the business. Yeah, Paul Heyman, but Jimmy Hart was truly the only manager right around then, in the mid 90s, still being technically a manager. So, and he's still around, they all managed the greats. from champions to from singles to tag teams. They all had their own unique aspect in it. And like I said, those are my 4. But my notable or my honorable mention is Sensational Sherry, one of the trailblazers, especially as a female wrestling talent and as a manager. Sensational Sherry doesn't get a lot of credit, but to me was a great manager. And then before my time, I'm going to speak of it because I know we have a lot of the old school wrestlers. Gary Hart. A lot of people might not remember Gary Hart. Of course, Hart. Great Muda sticks in my mind. A great heel manager. Gary Hart was a true good manager back in the I wanted to say maybe 70s, 80s. Could be wrong, but
I ain't that damn old now, and I remember Gary Hart. Come on.
Well, I'm in the 80s. I remember Gary Hart too. Then of course Paulie, and then Steven, I don't know if you have the list I sent you. I drew a blank on the other ones, but those are probably
you get 4, not 37.
Yeah.
He had some good honorable mentions though.
Yeah, and those, like I said, those are the 3 I could think of off the top of my head. But
I got them for you right here.
Who is it? The honorable mentions.
You put J.J. Dillon.
4 Horsemen.
Sensational Sherry, which you already said. Paulie Dangerously.
Yep.
And then Gary Hart.
Yeah. So JJ was the one I was forgetting.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the guy with the fucking whistle on ECW?
No, Paulie Dangerously is Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you. Yeah. What's that guy's name?
Bill Alfonso.
There it is. Okay. Yeah.
Are you going to name every manager in the history of wrestling?
No, those are honorable mentions because I guarantee I'm gonna have. There's probably all 5 of us has got 2 or 3 the same.
Bro,
yeah, some of these are gonna repeat for sure.
Yeah. Steven, let's cut his mic off. You get 4. Jesus.
Hey, I got some honorable mentions too, but I'll be later on, so they'll probably already come up. All right, we're gonna move on here. Next, we've got Brian. So Brian's not with us tonight, but I'll go ahead and I'll run through these. So as you can see, a couple of these are repeats. There's your Paulie Dangerously, Paul Heyman, and of course, Jim Cornette, Jimmy Hart, Bobby the Brain Heenan. All right, so let's go. Kev. Well, look at that.
Yep, it's pretty much the same. Bobby Heenan, that's number 1. Jimmy Hart is my number 2 because I watched him in Memphis. He managed Lawler when Lawler was a heel when Lawler first started. So Jim Cornette, he was the manager that always got beat up. You couldn't beat. And then, Heyman, what can you say? But I'm having one honorable mention. It's the same one that Ben had because I want to talk about him a minute. Is Gary Hart. In world class, that dude, because he was along with they had heel versus heel because what's his name had Devastation Incorporated. He was a manager too. I can't forget his name. Remember his name. But Gary Hart had Muda, Kamala, I think. But then he transitioned to WCW and had his own little thing there. Gary Hart was very, very underrated as a manager. And who is that one, the manager? He was like a sheik. He was in World Class. He talks on the DVD, but I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, I drew a blank too. He's not General Adnan or
no, it's not him.
It's Casey. Yeah.
No, it's not him, and I'm drawing a blank. But those are my 2 honorable. Skandar Akbar. Thank you, Facebook user. Skandar Akbar, and see, they would have a conflict of interest, and you would have heel manager versus heel manager when you would also be having the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs. So you had more, other undercard feuds that were just as awesome. So 2 honorable mentions, and I'm done. You don't have to mute me.
All right, next we've got Kyle's. One on here I was very surprised to see. So Kyle, if you want to take this away.
And you're probably talking about the Vicky Guerrero one.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So growing up, and even to this day, there is not a human being that makes me more mad than Vicky Guerrero. Like
okay,
but But that's the thing I love about wrestling is that even the people that just tremendously piss you off, to me, that's what they're there to do. Like when she came into an arena and she started talking, I immediately wanted to throw my remote at the TV. Like I could not stand to listen to her. And she was a mouth. She was in the action. She screwed a lot of things up, and she's even doing it in AEW. But for me, as far as, and I wanted to throw a female in here, and because we were talking about the valets or the managers, and she is just one of those people in wrestling that was able to get under my skin and then just stay there. And that's why she's on. And that's why she's on here.
Squeaking, excuse me. So yeah, if she's on there because she used to make you mad, I mean, that's part of wrestling. Being mad and being happy go hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously you have the Paul Heyman, and I just have a lot of respect for Paul Heyman. I think he's done a lot for the wrestling world. And for people that don't know a lot about him, if you go back and watch his documentaries, it really opens up a lot about Paul and what he's done in the wrestling world. And I was actually watching the Jake the Snake documentary that they put on A&E on Sunday, and they were talking about how Austin 316 wouldn't have been around, when in reality, Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't be here without Paul Heyman, because Eric Bischoff didn't see anything in Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, he wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin then, but he wasn't marketable. He didn't like him. He was getting rid of him. And that's when Paul grabbed him and brought him to ECW, and then it just kind of transpired into that. But and I think he's managed like 6 world champions. So, I mean, his name is attached to a lot of big names in this industry. So for him not to be on the Mount Rushmore would be a complete insult to him. And then Paul Bear, same way. I strongly believe you don't have the storylines that you have without Paul Bear. You don't have the Mankind storylines. You don't have the Kane storylines. I mean, you don't have the Concrete Tomb with Paul Bear. You don't have any of that. And without Paul Bear, I don't think that the chemistry between Undertaker, Kane, and Undertaker and Mankind would have ever been there. I think you needed to have him to be that middle guy between the two.
And even person, Bill Moody, the person, he played Percy Pringle when Gary Hart left World Class. So he's before he was Paul Bear, he was an excellent manager when he was Percival Pringle III.
Yeah.
And speaking of Paul Bear, I don't know if I just have like an uncut version of the episode of Raw, but when he was calling Taker a murderer, he says, "You're a murderer. You're a goddamn murderer." I was like, Jesus, I do not remember that happening.
Oh, yeah. and he's shaking, and his face is shaking. Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely great.
Like he was super pissed, and he's great performer for sure. Yeah. I really like your Rushmore, except for the Vicky, but since you explained it, it kind of makes a little more sense to me. More on Paul Heyman though. And back to the Ray doc because it's fresh in my mind, but he got his start in ECW. I totally forgot that Ray went to ECW for a little while, thanks to Conan.
Yeah,
and Paul put him on. All right, let's go ahead. We'll move on. Okay, so this one's mine. By the way, do you guys like this layout better than the kind of like the up and down one that I did last week? Because
I do.
This one looks more like the way it would be if it actually was a mountain. You know what I mean? Because they'd be left to right on a mountain.
I like it.
Also, someone in the comments said, still looking for Paul Bear's mask, because that would be his grail piece. So
Joseph Spina.
It was Spina. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I chose Paul Bear. I don't really think I need to explain too much into it, but the most unique character as a manager, in my opinion. He was just as much of a performer as The Undertaker was, and Kane. I don't know if Kane would have ever sold over as well if it wasn't for Paul Bear. Even Mankind when he worked with him. So just really iconic and very nice guy. I've seen a lot of shoot interviews he did without his makeup on, and just a really good dude, man. So I miss him a whole lot. And when I was a kid, one of the very first wrestling memories that I have was Paul Bearer and Undertaker cutting a promo on TV. That was one of the very first wrestling things I ever saw. And I was, probably 3 or 4 years old. And I was like, what the hell is this? Because I had never seen something like that before. You go from like Rugrats to this guy's got a weird looking face and voice. And I was just sucked in, man, from there on out. So like you said about Paul Heyman, it's an insult not to have Paul Bearer. And I was surprised that only you and me, Kyle, had him on our Rushmore. But I understand there's a lot of great managers.
Could you imagine what the storyline would have been like if it was just Kane and Undertaker? Because when Kane first came in, he didn't talk, right?
Nope.
Right.
Could you imagine like the Undertaker being up on top of the Titantron and Kane just being in the ring and them having to like communicate with each other? It would have been terrible.
Mm-hmm. Kind of how they did the what was the Eric Rowan and Luke Harper brothers called?
Oh, Bludgeon Brothers.
Bludgeon Brothers. They didn't really talk at all either, and you saw how well that went.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And then with Jimmy Hart, that's another one of those unique voices. Coming out there and being like the biggest dick that he can for a lot of his talent with the megaphone and everything. And he's just got one of those voices that you don't necessarily want to hear through a megaphone. Because, megaphones always make your voice super loud and trebly anyways, and he already has a trebly voice. Get him, So for me, Jimmy Hart is basically my Vicky Guerrero, if you will.
But Steven, you got to add the word baby to that.
Yeah. Get him, baby. By the way, that's my very first attempt at a Jimmy Hart.
That's awesome.
Hey, nice job.
I loved him on Legends House too. They need to bring back Legends House. I'm so pissed that it doesn't exist anymore. And then of course Paul Heyman, like you said, did so much for the business. Great mouthpiece. My name is Paul Heyman. Everybody knows that line. If you've watched wrestling in the last, 15 years at this point. The fact that he's able to cut promos on Roman's behalf when he's not around, or the way he did with Brock, just goes to show you that he's a very talented individual. And, that's pretty much it. Now, MVP, probably a big surprise for everybody here. I wasn't a big MVP fan when he was a wrestler, but the Hurt Business, I think, is one of the wasted factions, and I'm so glad that it's making a comeback, but it really should have never went away. I think it could have been as big as the Nation of Domination if they would have never gotten rid of it in the first place. And I really hope that it ends up being, Lashley, Omos, every single dude that was in it before all together, because, with Triple H in charge, these big factions and stuff are making a big, part of the show, like with the Bloodline and Judgment Day. And so I think they really should bring back the Hurt Business, because MVP is such a good trash talker. And, he really is believable as a businessman. So I really believe that he would be a manager for those guys. But yeah, that's all I got for my Mount Rushmore there. And then we'll move on to the last one here, the Tribal Chief.
Yeah. So, obviously some of these are the same that you've seen, but in the golden era, there's just no better manager out there than Bobby Heenan, and an all around great guy. And, just what can you say against Bobby? I understand he was a heel his whole career, but what can you say bad about Bobby? Then you got Jimmy, incredible impressions, by the way. Great job on that. Guy's 79 years old and still rocking. Still great to be around. Great to talk to. I've spent probably more time with Jimmy Hart than just about any other wrestler or wrestling manager on the planet, as far as the ones that I've had contact with. And
I believe it.
It's always been a great experience with Jimmy. Paul Heyman, a lot more than just him managing Brock, which is, most recent in everybody's mind, or him managing Roman is most recent in everybody's mind. The mindset behind Ohio Valley Wrestling, when he was down there and pushed out characters like John Cena, he pushed out Batista, he pushed out Brock Lesnar, he pushed out Randy Orton, during those time periods, the Big Show and some other ones too. And without him doing those things, there's a lot of talent that wouldn't be. So just to kind of keep it a little shorter, if it wasn't for Paul Heyman, tremendous things he's done for the business, even all the way back to WCW. The guy's walking around with a Zach Morris style cell phone, from Saved by the Bell, and hit people in the heads with it. And it was believable that you could hit a 300-pound wrestler in the head with a little plastic cheap cell phone and knock them out and damn near kill them, and cost them belts and everything else. And, who else would you put in the middle of Rick Rude and Stunning Steve Austin and a lot of those other characters to make it believable that somebody could actually manage them and control them other than a Paul Heyman or a Paulie Dangerously? Of course, goes on, takes over Eastern Championship Wrestling, really runs that business, does very well with it. I mean, I know there was some opportunities there financially, but, he also had major competition during his time. You had the Monday Night Wars going on. You had Nitro. You had Raw. You had a lot of competition. A different time and a different place, ECW probably would have been a much different business, probably would have been much more successful in the long term than it was if both big companies weren't really running at full speed the way they were at the time. And then Mr. Fuji. So as far back as even the early Survivor Series, Mr. Fuji managing the Powers of Pain, managing Demolition, managing just so many people throughout the years. And then, of course, coming all the way full forward and managing Yokozuna. I think for me, Fuji was a wrestler before that. And Fuji was a tremendous manager. And I think if he was ever given the opportunity to have managed a whole lot more talent, especially later on, Yokozuna kind of fades out. When Yokozuna fades out, it pretty much takes Fuji's career out because, they were going to the new generation and they didn't have a whole lot to do for Fuji at that point because he still kind of showed the face of the older generation, even though he was managing Yoko, who was very young at the time. But that really took his career out when Yoko lost the world title and Fuji just kind of disappeared. But I think if he was given the opportunity to manage a lot more superstars, Fuji's one of those guys, even as an older gentleman, that could have gone on into the Attitude Era and been a believable manager. So a couple things, I would point out. Number one, I think if you're looking for the GOAT, which is what we kind of discussed with the Rushmore, is if you add up all the Mount Rushmores and all the ones that are repeats, in my opinion, it's Bobby the Brain Heenan, but I don't know how the numbers stacked up.
He got second, I think. I know Jimmy was first.
So, in my opinion, it will always be Bobby. But, Bobby and Jimmy are right there neck and neck for sure. There's not a bad choice. There's so many great choices. There you go. Ben showing the Heenan family in the background. What a beautiful edit and signed by Bobby right there too. So,
that's beautiful.
But, there's not a bad choice. Nobody had a bad choice except for Ben, who named like 97 different managers. But other than that, there's not a bad choice on the list. Now, another thing too, I would say, as far as the greatest of all time between Jimmy and Bobby, that'll probably be the manager debate of all time. You'll probably always ask that question. Who was number one? The next thing I would say is, what Mount Rushmore will we challenge next? And, I think we should leave it up to the comments. I know we've only got a few minutes left, but I think we should leave it up to the comments on what Mount Rushmore we challenge next. But, I wouldn't be opposed to greatest announcer or greatest commentator Mount Rushmore because I think there's some tremendous ones there and some tremendous opportunities there. But again, that's my opinion on Bobby and Jimmy. Definitely the top two. and thank God you get 4. Jim Cornette was a great choice for a lot of those Mount Rushmores too. He did so many different things for the business. I think Jim Cornette in his later years has kind of soured his legacy with a lot of his negativity, in the later years. But
I agree.
we're not managing, or we're not deciding, or giving our perceptions on the later years. We're giving our perceptions on the time periods when they were active. There's a lot of people out there right now, talent-wise, that we've looked back on their legacies and thought, man, they're really, the sour grapes part of their legacy is really showing, and it hurts their legacy. I hear a lot about Bret Hart, one of the greatest of all time. Look at where he placed on the Rushmores that we did. Look at where he placed on the opinion polls that we did on greatest wrestlers of all time. He was consistently number 2 or number 3 in our polling, along with so many other people. But a lot of people think negative of him now because he's so negative and such sour grapes now later in life. Which I'm not saying he doesn't have valid points, because I think he does have a lot of valid points. But I don't think that should tarnish his legendary reputation. It doesn't tarnish his memory for me being my favorite of all time. So those are a couple different perspectives that I would give on that stuff.
And you know what? Even though he's kind of sour grapes, man, he's been kind of, him and his whole family in general has really been through the ringer in this business with everything that happened with his brother, everything that happened with the screw job, him getting concussed really bad from Goldberg, so they're all valid reasons. It's just, I think a lot of people.
Can I just say one more thing with the managers, and then I won't say anything else about it?
Sure. And I'm going to drop some honorable mentions too.
and here's a quote. If you listen to me, you go to the top. If you don't listen to me, you're never heard from again. End quote.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I was going to do a shout out honorable mention here to Ted DiBiase, which was a manager a few times. Great mouthpiece for the few times that he was manager. Maybe he was manager a lot, but I've only seen him manager a few times. And then I wasn't necessarily sure if we would count general managers, so I didn't want to put Eric Bischoff in my Rushmore, but a lot of the stuff that he did on Raw as general manager was really great. And then, of course, his legacy as a promoter, but that could be...
He pretty much managed the NWO, I guess, so...
Yeah, he was... Yeah, that's another thing, too, yeah.
Also,
if you can manage them,
Eric Bischoff gave us the great HLA segment, the Hot Lesbian Action. So I give him props to that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, real quick, we'll run through SmackDown and Raw, and then we'll finish up. We'll do a couple plugs. I know we got a lot of stuff exciting going on in the group that we need to remind people of in case they don't know. And so first, we'll start with SmackDown last week because today's Thursday. It definitely felt like it was the Dominic show with the amount of screen time that he got. Charlotte had called out Rhea Ripley, and Dominic came out and said some interesting things about his mommy's dominating personality. In addition to that, the only other thing exciting on SmackDown, at least in my opinion, was Ray had a match with Cross again for I think the 1,600th time. And then Dominic came out after the match and basically tried to provoke his father into hitting him, which he refused to do. Moving on to Raw, Brock and Omos got announced for Mania, which seems like a weird matchup, but we'll see how it goes. Could be make or break for Omos, in my opinion. Seth Rollins calls Logan Paul a bitch over the phone in the ring during the Miz TV segment. I was really disappointed he wasn't wearing those boots. We saw the return of the Muscle Man dance with Bray Wyatt mocking Bobby Lashley. That was really good, so that was definitely a highlight, but a 3-hour show with not really a lot going on. Then your main event, they give Lita and Becky, two people that don't necessarily need the titles. They win them, the tag team titles. Trish Stratus returns, so they could be possibly setting up a 6-woman tag match for Mania, which could be pretty sweet. Anybody got any thoughts on SmackDown Raw?
Trish Stratus is still smoking hot. That's my comment.
I mean, definitely. Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
I don't think it should have been Becky and Lita. I think it should have been Trish and Lita. I don't think you need Becky in the mix.
But they're trying to find some extra matches for WrestleMania. It's leaving out Becky and Bailey, so I can see the 3 or the 6-man or 6-woman tag match.
If they make those 3 a faction, though, they could do the Freebird rule and swap in and out like New Day.
I would swap with them.
Yeah, I bet you would. If Kev's wife's still watching, I want to know what you think about that in the comments.
Yes, Mrs. Buckler. What did you think about that comment from Kev? That's going to be the next poll.
We spent a lot of time tonight talking about other things other than current wrestling, and that's because it's almost less than a month for Mania, so there's not going to be a lot of big shit going down. That's just how it goes. It's the calm before the storm, if you will.
So does anybody think that we are about to see Rey Mysterio's final match at WrestleMania?
No, but I sure wish we would.
Because that's kind of the way I see it going. Is Rey was going to retire. His son gets into the business. He comes back to help him out. Now they're feuding. Mania's coming up. What better way to get your boy over to let him beat you at Mania and send you on your way?
But I think you draw it out. I think, that's a great point. But I think you draw it out because he's still not over. That's the problem is, even if you beat him right now and ended his career, he's not over. So, in 6 months or 18 months, whenever his contract's up, I think Dominic gets future endeavored right now because he's not ready to be on his own. So I think you've got to draw it out as long as you can. Maybe at the absolute earliest, SummerSlam. But even then, I don't know what they're going to do to get that guy over because they're going to have him beat Rey for a mask. And they're going to have to mask Dominic. And he's going to have some sort of character change because this is not working at all. And that's my thought process on it.
It may not necessarily be Mania, but I will say, and Kyle, I'll let you go and finish what you were about to say, but I think that putting Dominic with Judgment Day was the best thing that they ever did for that kid.
Yeah. The jail stint is pretty far-fetched for me. I think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be far-fetched for everybody. But Dominic Mysterio will never. I just don't see it for him. I don't get him. He is, everybody talks about these generational wrestlers, and I'm only here because of this person, that person. He is, to me, a real life example of that. If his dad isn't Rey, Dominic is nowhere close to WWE.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. He's like one of the only talents that came from a family that didn't have to go through NXT in a long time.
I don't get him. I don't get his ring gear. It looks like he's wearing training pads. Like I just don't understand Dominic Mysterio. And speaking about managers, if Dominic Mysterio is going to have a long-lasting career in WWE, he just needs to cut ties with in-ring action and become a manager or something. He's just not going to do it for me.
Or maybe he could be one of the guys that helps set up the ring and cleans up the soda cans and all that stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Commentary for NXT.
Yep.
Put him down there with who's on there right now? Booker and who's the other commentary on NXT? Nick Joseph.
I would drop him down to main event. I wouldn't even put him on NXT. I'd put him ring fight. Announcer on main event.
Have him fight Dana Brooke on main event.
We were talking about hurting their legacies earlier. Look at Booker in the Royal Rumble, man. How embarrassing was that? That's terrible. I think,
and then Ray didn't even come out, so there's 2 wasted spots right there.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. So, and Booker has such a tremendous legacy, accomplished so much in his life, great character. And then to have him go out there and just look foolish. I mean, at the very least, you could have had him go out there and get a couple eliminations and then, actually look like he was a competitor in the whole thing and not just an embarrassment. So that's sad that they would do that with his character because I believe wholeheartedly after seeing him many, many times in person, we've seen him at several conventions, that he could probably still go pretty well, and they just embarrassed him. So I don't think I'd be signing up. I know he said he's retired from in-ring competition, but I don't think I'd be signing up for any more Royal Rumble spots if I were him.
Well, yeah, and I will say about Booker T, though, at least he was man enough to call it after that night. He made that post saying that he's completely done, which, was probably a hard decision for him. But, he, just like with Taker, you want to keep going forever, but the body says no. In addition to that, I don't want to see him tarnish his legacy because I have a lot of respect for Booker T and a lot of the stuff that he went through, like in his upbringing. They were dirt poor, and he basically is the American dream story as far as starting from nothing and becoming something of yourself. And so I mean, as sad as it'll be to never see the Spinneroonie in a match again, because he might do it, just for the hell of it, but. At least we got plenty of replays, DVDs, Blu-rays. We've got it all. We can go back and watch it and live those moments forever and ever.
Yep. Exactly.
But to have him get that cheap pop and not even tell him until the day of, didn't even give him a chance to get in shape for the appearance or anything, was a waste of a spot. I saw this comment. I put it up a minute ago. They were saying they wish it was still the Attitude Era because they're tired of seeing Ripley basically protect Dom. If this was Attitude Era, she would have got stunned, rock bottomed, or pedigreed. I have a really hard time with the people calling PG Era. It's not really PG Era. When you think about it, I mean, Nia Jax got RKO'd 3 or 4 years ago. So, I mean, this kind of stuff can happen. Rhea Ripley can get attacked by a dude. It's not because it's not the Attitude Era. I mean, I respect you putting that in the comments and stuff, but I get real heated when people call it PG Era. I mean, Seth Rollins literally just called someone a bitch on TV, and you've heard shit on TV. Yeah, they don't knock each other in the heads with chairs anymore, and give them what is it, CTE or CLE or something?
CTE.
CTE, yeah. So I mean, they're more protective of their talent, which is definitely great. You don't get dumpster matches anymore and shit like that, but it's not a PG era, man.
You know what?
Jack complained about her whole.
If you had Seth Rollins come out with a great big python or a big cobra and have him strap somebody in between the ropes and have it bite the shit out of him like Jake did with the Macho Man, then you could say we're in like the new Attitude Era, because can you imagine how cool that would be? Like
that would be sick.
Redoing the whole Jake Macho Man thing, and then especially if it's like Seth does it to I don't know, Ronda Rousey or Nia Jax or I mean that right there. I mean, I know it's very controversial, but just think about the shit that they could still do that they're not doing that would really draw some heat, and that's where the biggest problem is now. We've all learned through social media about all these talents where some of them are not really bad guys and some of them are not really good guys. And now all of a sudden you don't really want to see the bad guy get his face kicked in, where in the past you did. So, all of a sudden if you had somebody do something like that, I'm not talking about, MJF where he runs out and makes fun of everybody and talks shit about everybody, but,
Yeah, did you see that?
Yeah.
That before the commercial came back, or before they came back from commercial, and he heated that crowd up.
Yeah. Yep.
Dude, that dude is the definition of a heel.
But I think you could get over by doing some good, pure wrestling tactics and some good antagonizing. And I think you're missing a lot of that. We really need characters. We need characters. We don't need, Mike Jones wrestling. We need, the Berserker. We need the Garbage Man. We need the guy that works at the funeral home. Those are the people you're missing, is the characters. And I've said that forever. There's no Hulk Hogan in wrestling anymore. You know what I mean? There's no, Hulk Hogan's my guy, or Macho Man. There's no Macho Man. There's no Nature Boy running around screaming, woo, and that's what you're missing. even the interviews, they're laughing. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm wrestling so and so on Saturday. Ha ha ha! It's going to be so much fun." Instead of being out there screaming and throwing a fit about what they're going to do to their opponent. That's where a lot of
who I indirectly blame for that. The reason that you don't get those characters anymore, well, for one, because WCW tried, they were all reality based.
Right.
And so, you saw that. And then to this day, WWE tries to be more close to like how UFC is. And obviously UFC is just real fighting. So they don't have the Repo Man coming out there to repossess someone's life.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And, that's one of the things I really didn't like about AEW is I hated the whole, win-loss system in AEW. Like, I never understood the points. This person's 36-2 or whatever, but even at the end of an NFL season, the record gets wiped clean, and at the end of the basketball season, the record gets wiped clean. How long are you going to be 327-42? I mean, I don't get that. It doesn't make sense to me with the whole score system and the whole
Isn't Bischoff working with AEW?
No.
Well, you got Shivani over there.
Yep.
So that's the whole Goldberg thing, with the records.
Yeah. I got to get something off my chest. MJF is not a promo guy. He sucks. Only thing he does, the thing that he does, I seen 10 years ago by my Uncle Bob after he got done drinking a fifth of Jack, and he went off on my dad because my dad wouldn't go get him another case of beer. All he does is he cusses, he insults people. He doesn't say anything about the wrestling. If he mentions something like, "You want me to go to WWE?" and then he gets heat like that. He gets on there, he cusses people. He's a dick. He's a jerk.
He's a jerk off.
And I just don't think he actually gets heat. I just think it's because he's a dickhead and he talks bad to the crowd. That's why they boo him. But if I wanted to see that, like I said, I'd go get the videotape my Uncle Bob getting drunk on a bottle of Jack.
What I don't understand is how come, because not every fan is cool and relaxed. How come you haven't seen more fans, like in hotels and airports and elevators, punching that dude in the face? Like, I don't get that, Like, I would fully suspect at some point MJF is going to say something stupid to somebody in an elevator, and they're going to turn around and break his nose. I don't understand that at all. Ben, what do you think about that?
I don't know. It's different between on air and off the air, too. And then he's probably heavy secured. I'm sure he's got a bodyguard or something because nothing, like I said, and he's the type that I think if something did happen, he'd sue him or, there's going to be a repercussion. And
I'm
sure he's guarded.
You'll see him at Squared Circle.
He better not get on the elevator with me.
He's around agents. Agents are little nobodies, but I bet you he might have a bodyguard or something around, especially if him being the golden goose that, everything evolves around him. I'm sure. And then I'm sure Tony and all them has probably talked to him, but like, hey, you don't be doing nothing you shouldn't be doing to cause us, lawsuits or issues. And so I'm sure he's toned down, but still, I'm not a fan. I agree. But if I'm going to jump into the AEW segment real quick, not a lot. They're promoting Revolution on this. It'll be this Sunday night, which MJF versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW Heavyweight Championship belt. It's an Iron Man match, 1 hour match. Had a heated promoted promo from Bryan Danielson last night to him. They had to beep it out, and there's with Bryan saying that if he's not ready for 60 minutes, he's going to get his effing head kicked in. And actually, they had to beep it out. That was on it. But as for some good heat, the Christian promo on Jungle Boy was classic, where Christian says that he's tired of this new generation as video game wrestlers or wannabe video games in his business. That Christian goes, "I'm here right now to milk my company dry. I'm all about the money." and calling the today's generation just video game wrestlers. And I was like, that's a good little point. I can see, how we talk about characters and all, we're all the same size guys, same promos. Really, Hook, but really undefeated, little skinny guy that played rugby as a wild, like something about Mary hair gel in his head, poof to the side. He's undefeated and everybody's loving him. I'm like, and you got
that wasn't hair gel, that was cum.
Thank you. Being politically correct on that one. And then also Orange Cassidy, like the guy in person, but he doesn't talk. He's a sloth. He does the one punch. Beat John Morrissey last night, or Bill Morrissey, which was Big Cass. Really a 7-foot tall guy going to get beat by no 6 foot, 150-pound person. No.
And you can't teach that.
And you can't teach that. But that's pretty much was the Powerhouse Hobb got a big, huge win in his career last night, winning the Casino Battle Royale. Won the chance now, I think, to face any championship or to face a world heavyweight title match. Other than that, that was pretty much about it. As for AEW, they're just getting ready for this Sunday's Revolution pay-per-view.
Cool. Yeah, and if you guys want to, talk about some stuff you got going on in the group soon, anything that you want to announce now?
So, we've been talking about this. We're running out of pre-orders, guys.
Limited quantity.
Get your pre-orders in. We are running out. We only have so many spots left. This is our quad. Beautiful, beautiful image. This is the demo Powers of Pain quad. You can get this signed by all four. You get it personalized, you get it inscribed, whatever you want to do. 65 shipped on that. Here is one of the beautiful images of Warlord that we've got. Warlord in the ring. Beautiful images. You got the old school turnbuckles in there, the old red, white, and blue WWF ropes. Guys, check that out. Beautiful image. Probably my favorite. I don't know. It's so hard to decide which one's the favorite, but this is the Spotlight image, Powers of Pain. Get your pre-orders in. All payments are due by April 5th, I think it is.
Yes.
And then here's one of the newest ones I introduced to everybody on Tuesday night. Of course, this is part of the Survivor Series team from '89. You got Teddy, you got Barbarian and Warlord. These are beautiful images. There's a lot of glare on them right now. During the live on Tuesday, there wasn't nearly as much glare. Guys, get your orders in. We're running out of spots. It's a really big deal for us, these edits. We put a lot of money and a lot of time into these, and we know a lot of people want to support their group, support their friends. So get your stuff in. These edits like this, you're getting it dual signed, inscribed, personalized, whatever you prefer, shipped to you for $30. These are incredible. Nobody else has these. Nobody else has done these. These are ours. Here again, talking about this image, if I can get the glare off, nobody else has this one. We cut Zeus out so you can still get all three to sign. So you can get Teddy still to sign. You can get Barbarian and Warlord that comes straight from us for $30. So, and that includes shipping. So, and again, these are custom edits that we did just for us, just for the events. So, guys, get your orders in. I can't tell you how many spots we have remaining, but I can tell you it's very, very few.
Yeah, about less than a handful.
Yeah.
Quad's definitely my favorite. You got me down for one of those, right?
Hold on. I got it right here.
I even pre-ordered one of those quads.
No,
so come on, guys.
No, Steven, I do not. Now I will.
yeah. Make sure you get me down for that. I know I still got a little while to pay, which is good because I'm behind as hell.
Yeah, so I got Steven, I got you there. But yes, to go back what William was saying, individual photos, just Warlord or Barbarian are $20 each. For the dual sign is $30 each, and that's shipped back to you. The quad is $65. That's demo and Powers of Pain, all four together. Also, we're accepting mail-ins. you have till March 31st. I will go on and suggest to send those now. That way it gets here in time because it has to be at my house or one of our houses on March 31st because we will be traveling. Also, payments are not due till April 5th. I will make a post and let everybody know, like when it gets closer, to please send the money and it'll be to send it to me. I got everybody wrote down so far. Also, if you're gonna be there, we suggest you to make a pre-order. If you got your own stuff you need to get signed, still do a pre-order because at the show the prices will increase. So we'll save you money by doing a pre-order now. But you have till April 5th to pay. Get with myself, William, Cam, or Donnie, but suggest get with us. I've been keeping up with it list, and I will make a post of when to pay. And that's pretty much all I got for the squared circle.
Hey Ben, you can go ahead and put me down for a dual edit.
Okay, and then also the images are on the Top Ropes wrestling or Top Ropes wrestling and collectibles. We have 8 images. We have the 4 different with Powers of Pain together, and then 4 of the individuals, 2 warlords and 2 barbarians, and then we have the quad. So we got 9 images. Kyle, I'll go with you afterwards, and we'll make sure which image you want.
And I'm going to be there too, so I'll come say
okay,
what's up.
yes, that'll save you some money. That'll save you some money.
I gotta go. It's in my home city, so
there you go.
And also too,
don't throw away.
This coming week, me, Kev, Ben, Donnie, and Cameron, along with Jess, my wife, we're all going to be in Ohio for the big show there. So, guys, if you're going to be in Ohio, come check it out. Come hang out. Come see us. Hopefully, we'll see a bunch of people there. We're going to Ohio as fans. We're not set up there, but still, if you see us, man, come up to us, hang out. Come talk some wrestling. Let's go get some autographs together. And, we look forward to seeing everybody. So that's all I got for this week.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that it was a good show,
I agree.
We'll make a poll in the Facebook group sometime coming up in the week, and we'll see what you guys think as far as what Mount Rushmore we should do next. My vote is for tag champs, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, you got the tag champs right here.
Yep.
That's true. Make sure you tune in, of course, to their live auction Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I got the banner across the bottom of the screen there for you. If you're watching on YouTube, you can join our Facebook group, Top Rope Wrestling Collectibles and Autographs. We recently changed the name when we went to our public group. So still adapting to that. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Anyone else have anything? We'll wrap it up here.
Thank you, Kyle, for joining us tonight.
Yeah, Kyle, thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely.
All right.